So let's talk about calculating OTE in remote sales as a remote sales rep. This is going to be for those of you that are brand new to the industry, trying to get it into the first time. Those of you that have a little bit more experience, maybe you've been on an offer before, you know all about this stuff. There's not really much new that I'm going to bring to this video. This is specifically for the beginners out there. So OTE, you're going to see it on almost all job opportunities. You're going to hear people talk about it, people going for it. What it stands for is on track earnings. Now, the tricky part with OTE is what it's based off of, or what it should be based off of, is if you were to take, the best way I can explain it, if you were to take the average sales rep for that specific offer. So let's say, you're a business owner and you've hired like 100 salespeople, or you've had a team, like a consistent team of 5 or 10 reps on the team for months and months and months on end. The more data you have, the better. The longer you've been running the team, the better. And you have the top performers, you have the worst performers, and you have the middle of the pack, right? On track earnings should be the person who's just an average performer closing at an average rate for that team. OTE is not supposed to be based off of, the one superstar performer on the team was able to achieve this consistently, or even once in the 12-month span, they were able to achieve this. Therefore, that's the on-track earnings. No, on-track earnings is if you come in, follow our process, do what you're supposed to do, you hit what's called KPI meaning key performance indicators. This is what you should earn. Key performance indicators meaning if you're an appointment setter and we provide you X amount of leads per day, if you make X amount of dials per day, you should book X amount of appointments per day. And, if you're doing everything the way we say it, your show rate should be within this range. And if your show rate's within that range, our closers will close within this range on average. And then you will earn this much commission on average. That's what an OT is supposed to be. Same thing with a closer. Hey, we'll either book you or you can self-set. If you self-set X amount of calls, this is what our average show rate is. This is what a middle of the pack close rate is on our team. This is what you should earn. And there should be, if it's a big team, there should be some people that are crushing the OTE and stand out. And, maybe there's some people that aren't performing right up to snuff, but it shouldn't be most of the team is below it, right? Maybe there's 1 or 2 people depending on the side of the team, but middle of the pack should be that. And I know some teams also use the OTE as their bare minimum standard. So if everyone on the team is either at or above, that's also a really good thing. That would be better than middle of the pack, I would say. But that's pretty much what it is and what it's supposed to be. Now, you as a new rep, what you want to look out for is businesses sometimes inflate this number to attract better talent. So what I was saying before, that OTE shouldn't be that standout number. What some business owners do is they make it like the best performance that has ever happened on their team. And then they'll say, hey, this is the on-track earnings. Or if this is more prevalent with new companies that are maybe hiring their first or second rep, they say, hey, this is what it should be based off of just my own guesses and estimations, because they haven't really had a ton of people go through that process yet. So I would say a good rule of thumb is the smaller the company, the less reps that have been through that company, the less reliable the listed OTE is, right? Because if the company's doing things right, it's probably the founder, that's taking the closing calls. And even that, because it's the founder, maybe their face is on all the marketing, they run the YouTube channel, all those things, their close rate, their show rate, all those things aren't really indicative of exactly what you're going to see on that offer if you're stepping in as their first closer. And on top of that, let's say they've hired their first closer already. Maybe you're coming in as a second or third closer, especially if you're coming in as a second closer. That one closer on the team could be a superstar, or they could be a really low performer. So you could probably come in and absolutely smash that OTE, or come in and perform a lot lower than it. So a good rule of thumb, just to be safe, is like the smaller the company, in most cases, the less reliable that listed on track earning is, just because there's less people, less bodies that have gone through the process for them to have a really clear average, right? But at the end of the day, on-track earnings aren't necessarily something to be 100% married to. If something says this is a 10K a month OTE, if somebody says this is a 5K a month OTE, or they give you a range 5 to 7K a month OTE, that does not mean no matter what, you won't earn less, and does not mean you cannot earn more, because at the end of the day, it comes down to your skill set, and it comes down to, a little bit of the marketing and how the marketing and the systems and that engine supports your sales efforts, right? So it's not cut and dry. And the reason why I want to make it clear that for that is I see people, a business owner might say, hey, we've got a 10K OTE. And then I've seen closers be like, I want to earn 12K at least. So no, right? I've seen people say, hey, this one's a 5K OTE. And they're like, I really want to earn 6 or 7K. So I can't do that one. It's not a salary, right? It's an average. It's what's possible. It's what's been proven. If the business owner is listing it out right, that's what that number is. That's what that range is. And again, if you want really good accuracy, it's probably going to be coming from a bigger company that has had more reps through the process. But when it comes to calculating it yourself, which I suggest everyone do before you accept an offer, ask questions, get the numbers, and you can kind of see how accurate the OTE is based on what you're hearing from the business owner. Because you can take the revenue, the cash collected, how many reps are on the team, if you're a setter, maybe the lead flow, the close rate, the average cash collected, all of these things, you can take these numbers and you can calculate the OTE yourself, commission percentage as well. So a good thing that you want to look for if you're a closer and you know that they're giving 10% commission on the offer, you want whatever your target income is. It would be nice. Now, again, you could come into the company, be a rock star and scale them up and earn the amount you want to earn. But if you want to step into an established team and there's a pretty good likelihood that month 1, month 2, month 3, once you're fully ramped up, you're making what you want to see and more, it's good to look at the cash that they're collecting on a monthly basis and look at the amount of reps that's there and divide the cash by the amount of reps. And whatever that number is 10% of that number what you want to earn. So if I have a company that's doing 300K a month, and there's 3 sales reps on the team and they pay 10%, if I want to make 10K a month, that's like a bare minimum would be at 300K or more per month. Then I know that those reps are probably earning close to 10K each, unless there's a big discrepancy in what they're earning in terms of skill set, right? So again, 10%, good rule of thumb is 10x what you want to earn. They're bringing it on a monthly basis, right? If they're making 300K a month, but they have 10 closers on the team, then you're like, okay, well, the closers aren't probably not making 10K a month. There might be one that's making 10K a month and the rest are all not doing well. But then that leads to the question, why is that the case, right? But it would be a green flag if they're making 300 to 400K a month. There's 3 reps on the team. Some reps are making 8 to 12K each. And they're, that's what they're seeing on a monthly basis each. Maybe one guy makes 15 because it's a little bit better. The bottom guy makes 7 to 8 on average. The middle of the pack guy makes 8, 9, 10 on average. Generating 80K. This guy's generating 150K. This guy's generating 70 to 80K, right? Then you'd know, okay, cool. I could probably come in here and make 10K a month, right? And then you want to make sure, I was surprised a lot of people actually ask about this, is there is a difference between cash collected and revenue generated. So you want to make sure when you're asking about these numbers, when you're speaking to these business owners, one thing I like to ask is, what's the average cash collected on a deal? Because you'll see sometimes job offers, they do the calculations. Hey, this is the OTE based on closing X amount of deals at X price point. But these offers, they pay on cash collected, not revenue generated, right? And if you want, there's ways to get super detailed where you can ask revenue generated and then you can ask collection rate. But what you want to know at least is the average cash collected. Because if I am selling a 10K offer and most of my deals are 2 pays, in that first month, if I close 10 deals, I'm not going to, close 100K. I'm going to close 100K in revenue, but I would have only collected 50K in cash. And at 10%, I would only get paid 5K, not 10K. Now, going into month 2, as long as we have 100%, payment plan, installment plan collection rate, then yes, I would get those commissions in month 2, but that's also something to understand so that you can kind of see what the ramp up period is. And again, if you want to get really, really detailed with this and be really accurate, you can look at, okay, what's the average cash collected here? Because there are offers where most of their deals are PIFs and you don't really worry about this too much. But there are other offers where, maybe half their deals are PIFs and the other halves are 2 pays, 3 pays, 4 pays. And you get paid on the upfront cash collected, and those 4 pays are going to take you 4 months to actually get that commission as they're being collected. So that's the first number you want to look at when it comes to accuracy is, okay, what's the average upfront cash collected? Then you can say, all right, if the average, because you see they're selling a 10K offer, but their average across all deals, their average upfront cash collected might be 6K, might be 7K. So if you want to be accurate, you should do your 30-day commissions, because I like to go off of 30-day and let the installment plans be bonuses. Let you calculate your commission on what's collected up front. So if you have a 10K offer with an average cash collected of 6 or 7K, and on average they close about 20 deals a month, you should do your commissions on 7K, not 10. So instead of saying, okay, 20 deals a month at 10K offer, 10% commission, I make 20K for the month in deals in commission, you should say, okay, up front, realistically, mental math is not the best, but whatever, $700 for your commission, 7K cash collected up front on average, 10% commission, you're making $700. Now take the 700 and multiply that by 20 deals a month, not the 10K. Yes, you'll get it eventually, but if you want to know what you'll actually be earning within maybe, and there's also ramp up time when you're on a new offer, but what you'll be earning by at least maybe 1 month 2, that would be a more accurate number. Because then behind that, for even more accuracy, there's also the payment plan completion rate. So just because someone signs up for a 4-month payment plan, some of those fall through. I've been on offers where that completion rate was like 98, 99%, great offer, great delivery. That showcases they're selling the right people. The CSMs or just whoever's doing the delivery on the back end is coaching well-oiled machine. But I've also been on offers where only 60%, 70% of the payment plans got completed. Now, part of that is due to the sales reps maybe closing people that they shouldn't have closed. But at the same time, some of that could be due to just, the offer and how it's set up, and maybe the person didn't get the results they wanted. Whatever happened, something happened in their life. I've, been a CSM on an offer where, someone's family member died and they dropped out and they stopped paying their payment plans. Things happen, right? Someone lost their job. Things happen. I've had that happen. So you want to know, okay, what's the average payment plan completion rate? Because that's also going to tell what your commission is. So if you close someone, I got to pull out the calculator for this one. If you close someone for 10K, and let's say they're doing a 3 pay, right? That's, 3,333, and they pay the first installment, and the average collection rate is 60%. That means on average, you're only going to get 6K of the 10, which means your commission could, if you want it to be super accurate, could be calculated on that as well. The average cash collected totally, right? There's the upfront, but then there's what's the average after all payment plans are considered? How many of them actually finish? So again, OTE is not this set in stone thing. There's a lot more numbers, a lot more things you could look at if you want to be super, super accurate. And I just wanted to make this video for people that are brand new to understand it, as best as I could explain in this quick video. Hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, put in the comments. Join the community that we have down below. Happy to answer them. We do calls every Monday, free calls that you can jump on and get questions answered as well. But I'll see you guys in the next video.